Hi, my name is Paul and I'm a product designer in the Dropracks team. Today I'm going to show you how to install your Dropracks onto your car. Dropracks comes in 2 boxes and you will also need a set of clamps for your car. We have another video on car roofs and clamps that you can check out later. Let's open the boxes and check out what's inside. In the boxes we have the main bars of the rack, some connecting bars, a bag of hardware and the instruction manuals. Make sure to read them before you install the rack on your car. And we also have a set of clamps. So make sure to get the right clamps for your car. This car has flush rails and this is a set of flush rail clamps. Today we're going to be installing a Dropracks Sport and it's the same procedure for the Dropracks XL. The first thing we're going to do is to assemble the center bar. So for that we're going to need 2 caps, 4 rubber rings and 2 pins. So first I'm just going to install a rubber ring on each end of this pin. I'm going to be using this bar, put a plug in from the end, pin with rubber ring on it, and a rubber ring on the other side as well. Flip the bar around and repeat on this side. So like that, that, and there we are. This is how it should look when we're done with this step. The next step is to attach the clamps. So for that, we're going to flip the rack upside down, like so. And I'm going to press down this lock and open it slightly. And we're going to remove the end cap over on this side. Then we're going to take one of our clamps, orient it correctly, and insert it into the bottom track here. Then we're going to reattach the end cap. We're going to take one more clamp and install it into the other side of the track, like so. And on this side, we're also going to follow that with this little plug that gets installed like so. And then we're going to close the rack up again. And this we're going to repeat for the other bar as well. So the Dropracks can be installed to be lowered down on the passenger side or on the driver's side of the car. Check out our other video on that to help you decide. Check out how the clamps are supposed to fit the car in the clamps instructions, and it's always a good idea to make sure that the attachment points are clean before proceeding. Now we're going to lift the rack onto the car and it's time to get help from a friend. I do have a way of installing the rack alone, however I don't recommend it. So the first thing we're going to do is to lift up the rack and flip it over, like so. And then I'm going to move around this side of the car and we're going to lift it up and place it down so that the clamps register onto the rails of the car. It's okay that the bars are currently leaning out a tiny bit. They will be straightened up soon. Just don't let them fall over. If you would like, you can tighten them up a bit, but they will need to be adjusted and maneuvered a bit afterwards, so don't tighten them all the way. Lift it up and place it down. Nicely done. We have now lifted, aligned and centered the rack on the car, and now I'm going to install this crossbar with these 4 screws with the included mounting tool. And it's always good to have a friend help hold so that you don't damage your car. I'm going to drop a screw into the hole, lift up the bar and find the registering hole at the back and screw that screw in. And then when we've installed this side, we can do the same over on this side. We may have to adjust and align it a bit. I'm going to take a screw and find the hole at the back, like so. I'm just going to catch the threads on this side. And then I'm going to insert the second screw into this hole and screw in here as well. Now that we have installed the center bar at the back, we're going to do the same at the front. And to do that, we're first going to open up the driving locks like we did earlier by pressing down and pulling out slightly. The bar that we're going to be assembling at the front is the one that we worked on earlier. And we're going to use 2 of the longest screws and the installation tool for that. And here it's, again, a good idea to have a friend help, so to be careful to not scratch the car. So the bar registers on this screw head, and the longest screw goes into this hole. Push it in and screw it on, like so. And then we tighten it up. And thank you, Victoria. To get this, I may have to adjust the position of the rack a bit until it registers. Insert the screw from the bottom again and tighten it up. And when it's tight, I close the rack again. Okay, so before tightening the clamps, we're going to realign the rack in case it has moved a bit. And to do that, I'm going to find this guide in the instruction manuals. And as instructed, I'm going to fold the page along the dashed line, like so. And I'm going to hold it up to the rack. So the rack will get lowered at an angle of 60 degrees, and I'm just going to use this guide to make sure that it goes clear of the car. And I'm going to check the front and the back, and that looks a-okay. Before moving on, I'm just going to tidy up here a bit so that you guys can see properly. Now that the rack is aligned, we're going to tighten the clamps like it says in the instruction manual. And we're going to be referred to the instruction manual of the clamps. Now these clamps have a given torque for the tightening, and therefore it is critical to use the accompanying tool for this kit. And typically, these types of clamps say click when it's tight enough. There we are. With the clamps tight, it is now time to lower the rack for the first time. And to do that, it's always good to have a friend to help, make it go extra smooth. Open the locks and pull out the rack. Flip the crank down and lower the rack by cranking counterclockwise and pulling towards you. So while doing this, we're paying attention to see that the rack does not touch the car. Get the rack all the way down to the load position. There we are. As it says in the instruction manuals, we're just going to check that the rack does not touch the clamp. The rack is more than 2 centimeters from the top edge of the car. And at the bottom here, we're just going to make sure to see that it's more than 10 centimeters away from the car. And we are. Fantastic. When installing the last center bar, I want to make sure that the left and the right side are synced up. And to do this, I'm going to first push the rack to its bottom position, make sure that it's all the way down, so that the drum's groove is pointing upwards. And on the right side, I'm just going to move the crank to see that it is in the same position as on the left side. The next is to take the square bar and the round bar into the round bar. I'm also going to grab the screws and the mounting tool again. And I'm going to get the square bar and put it onto the drum and align the slot in the round bar to be vertical. And push it all the way on. And now I'm going to get this screw from the bottom and screw it in tight. And on the right side, I'm going to install the square bar and handlebar at the same time onto the drum, and I may have to rotate the crank a bit to get it to register. Push it all the way together. Push the screw in from the bottom and tighten it. There we are. Now the rack is actually complete. Okay, that was the last bit of assembly. Now I'm going to crank up the rack. The crank is the main input to the system, but I also normally like to stabilize the rack with my left hand while cranking. When I get to the top, the resistance in the crank is going to increase a bit, and I'm just going to rotate it counterclockwise before I attach it into the dock. Don't ever force the crank into the dock. Okay, before driving, we have to make sure that both driving locks are engaged. They have dropped down and the rack is closed.
We like to push and pull on the rack to see that nothing is moving before driving. With the Dropracks installed, we can load some equipment onto it. Check out our other videos on that, and if you have any questions, please contact us. And if you don't feel like installing Dropracks yourself, contact your Dropracks supplier and see if they can provide solutions in your area. Thank you for watching this video, and good luck!